Hello, 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 hello. How are you, my friends? My name is Brian K McNeill, aka Paw Paw B, and I'm here tonight to tell another tale. Story time with Paw Paw B. A few weeks ago, now I've been a professional speaker and a sales trainer and a sales coach for about 30 years. And in my work, you accumulate these stories, these useful fiction stories, and sometimes they're not fiction, they're actually nonfiction, they actually really happen. But these stories that I find they have a good point to them. And I thought it might be fun to just share some of these stories with my friends. Consider this like a bedtime story. And I got another one that I like that I've told a bunch of times. But this is the story. Now, before I launch into it, I almost forgot an important part about the show. Let's get the show started the right way. Hey, yeah, come through, everybody come see. Story time with Paw Paw B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need, story time with Paw Paw B. Yeah. Interesting, entertaining for sure. Stories for adults, parents to entrepreneurs. Got you laughing. You gonna have a good time. This is what you want now. Come through, everybody come see. Story time with Paw Paw B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need, story time with Paw Paw B. Let's go. All right, here we go. So I do have another story that I've told a bunch of times over my career to different organizations, different sales forces that I happen to be the manager of, and I'm going to share it with you right now. There was this thriving mid-sized church and out in the country, and their pastor decided to retire. So they were in a position where they needed a new pastor. So they took suggestions from other folks. They checked references. They narrowed down their search. They interviewed potential pastors for the church, and they finally decided on a new pastor for the church. So they decided on a new pastor, and the Sunday came where the new pastor was going to preach his first sermon in the church. That new pastor comes up there to deliver his first sermon at a new church, and he delivers. He delivers a powerful message that left everyone with learning, and they were empowered and they were encouraged. He delivered a phenomenal message for his first message at this new church. And at the end of the service, everybody was raving. They were so happy that this pastor came. They were so pleased with his message. Everyone was attaboying him. Pastor, that was a great sermon. Thank you. And he was, gracious. He appreciated the nice words. The next Sunday came, and he delivered another amazing sermon. But the second sermon was the exact same sermon that he had preached the Sunday before. He delivered the exact same sermon, just as good, 2 Sundays in a row. Now, because the sermon was good, because the message was good, people were still pleased, but they kind of noticed, wait a minute, isn't that the same thing he said last Sunday? The third Sunday came, and he came up and he delivered the exact same sermon with the same enthusiasm, with the same fervor that he had done the 2 previous Sundays. He delivered the same sermon again with the same energy, the same enthusiasm, 3 Sundays in a row. And everyone still appreciates him, but I was like, why does he keep preaching the same story over and over again? So between the 3rd and the 4th Sunday, some of the ministers decide to go to this pastor. So they go to his home. 3 or 4 of the ministers, they go to his home. And they say, Pastor, can we talk with you? Sure. Come on in. He lets him in. He goes, Pastor, we love what you're doing here. We're happy to have you. But you've delivered the same sermon 3 times in a row. What's the deal? He goes, oh, man, I'm so glad you guys have noticed that. I was wondering if anyone noticed it, but I'm so glad that you've noticed that I've delivered the same sermon 3 times in a row. See, because now that you guys have come to me and told me that you've noticed it, that helps me out a lot, because I was going to keep on preaching the same sermon again and again and again until you guys started to live it, until you decided to act upon it, until you guys finally get the message. Now, I like that story, and it has lots of life applications for me. And I want you to find your own meaning. But I like to think of that story as a reminder to me that so often life will teach us lessons, deliver us lessons, put us in peril, even. And unless we get the lesson, life will teach us that same lesson again until we get the lesson and do something different maybe the next time. And life will teach us that lesson again and again and again until we say, oh, this is what this means. Again, my name is Brian K McNeill. I appreciate each time any one of you guys choose to join me for Story Time with Paw Paw B. That's right. I've been doing this same thing for 3 weeks in a row now, and I'm still just telling stories that are in my head. And as I'm going about my day, sometimes someone else will remind me of something, or something will remind me, tickle my memory banks about stuff that I used to say. So I just make a note of them. And I still got a bank of stories to tell from my memory. But so I'm going to keep on doing that for a little while. Next week, Storytime with Paw Paw B is only going to be 3 times. Instead of Sunday through Thursday, starting next week, I'm only going to do Storytime on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And before you guys get out of here, hey, yeah, come through, everybody come see. Story time with Paw Paw B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need, story time with Paw Paw B. Yeah. Interesting, entertaining for sure. Stories for adults, parents, and entrepreneurs. Got you laughing. You gonna have a good time. Still educational. This is what you want now. Come through, everybody come see. Story time with Paw Paw B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need, story time with Paw Paw B. Let's go. All right, story time with Paw Paw B. If you found value in this story, I encourage you to share them. Share them on your LinkedIn. Share them on your Facebook. I appreciate you guys thanking me for the stories. I enjoy it, and I appreciate your encouragement. You guys that are saying nice things, you guys are supporting me in this mission, and I appreciate it. But share it. If you're watching on YouTube, consider subscribing to the page. I'm going to keep this thing going. It's something that I've been blessed with. Was a bunch of stories stored in my head, so I'm going to keep it going. Until next time, you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening. Have a beautiful weekend. God bless you.